I'll be building this van on a budget with as many recycled and reclaimed materials as possible. Join us as we convert this blank canvas into our new dream home equipped with everything needed for full-time van life on the road. Morning guys, and welcome to another part of the van build. Sorry this video is a week late. I'm trying to keep them relatively weekly, but it really is as and when they come. This week we're going to be adding some storage to the kitchen and making it look far more like a little home. Let's get stuck in. So today I'm going to start working on the kitchen, like the space under the counter now. When I was putting the gas tank into the spot that I thought I was going to use, it was really fiddly. Like once it's full and it's really heavy, it'll be really hard to get it in and out of there. So I thought instead that we'll put the gas tank into the bench, just down here. Because initially that's where I wanted the gas tank. I didn't want it here because it's too close to the fire. There shouldn't be any heat that gets through, but it's just, I don't know, it just doesn't sit well putting a giant tank of gas next to a burning fire. So I was going to put it in the corner there above the water tanks, but getting in and out over there right into that corner, and then of course you have to actually attach the hose and all that stuff. So that's where I want the gas tank to sit. So what I'm doing is I've cut a piece of wood to go here, and then I need to make sure that that can pull out, and then I've got some bed slats that I'm going to build across to keep it in. So yeah, instead of you guys having to watch a 45-minute video on me building a couple cabinets, I'll sort of just update you as I go and show you what I did in each step. Sometimes I'll show you what I'm about to do, but for the most part I'm going to show you what I did. And then that way I can hide my mistakes. So what I did was put a loop there, tied a load of knots for the bungee, and then I've made a hoop on the end. So I wrap it around the middle of the tank over the top of that. It's maybe a bit tight to do this one-handed. Come on. Yeah. So that holds the tank. Yeah, it's really quick to just undo that. I can also access the top from here, which is really nice. So I can turn the gas on and off. So while I was down here, I thought I might as well make a quick little partition to just kind of cover that space in there. So I'm just going to screw that into place, separate that off, and then it's back over here to figure all this crap out. I'm slowly piecing it together. I need to have my knee space here for when I'm sitting on this bench. So that's why that's there, because I marked where my foot is. So I need to kind of build with that as the corner. I'm going to be using all the wood that I reclaimed from that shed and like building down. I've secured this leg in. Now I'm going to do this corner one, and then once that's secure I've got sort of the beginnings of the framework to start working with, which is cool. So what I've just done is taken these two pieces, put them flush with the edges, and then put these two pieces across the middle and screwed it all together. So this actually pulls away because I want to take it out and sand it and burn it, but I wanted to build it in situ. It does fit very snugly into that space. So once I've sanded and burnt it, I can screw it in. It's going to have a big drawer at the top and then two cupboard doors. So here it is, all sanded, burnt and oiled, just like the rest of the wood that I've done that with. While I was there I also burnt in this corner because it was just raw wood. I need to oil that actually to make that warm colour come out. So initially I was thinking two cupboards and two drawers, but I'm thinking of doing one drawer. It's a lot easier to do one drawer than it is two. So I've cut a piece of ply that's going to be the front of the drawer, and then I'll be putting that green wood stuff on it. So yeah, I'm basically going to have to put some beams across there, and then I'm going to split this into maybe 3, so that you can get like bags of rice and pasta and stuff at the back. It's going to be quite deep. So maybe better just doing 2 so that you can see more of what's on the shelves rather than 3 shelves. But I'll see how that goes. I'm kind of just making up as I go along, as you're well aware. And then I've just went and got another piece of wood to cover that beam so it looks nicer. So I've just cut this piece for a runner for the drawer, and I'm just going to cut a second one. So I'm going to put one of them about there, because I can see that I've screwed into there, so that must be where the beam is. So I'm going to attach one to the beam, and then one just the same distance from the edge as that one, and just directly into the plywood wall. So I've got them secured in, screwed in from the front, L bracket to the back, and then I've taken that bit of plywood and I've just screwed a piece of wood to the back. So all I did was I put the plywood in position and then went round the back, and the top of this piece of wood I drew along so that I knew where that beam was going to sit. So basically this edge here sits on there. I've used really long screws and left them like that because I'll be putting the side supports on and screwing into them. That's why I've got these really long screws just poking out. But it's showing that I'm soon going to have some sort of storage. I got another piece of plywood which I'm going to cut down to the same width it happens to be exactly as deep as the counter, which is great. Maybe slightly longer, but that's fine. So it means I can cut that down and it can be the bottom of this. So I'll be attaching that to this as well. Anyway, that's me for today. So I've been busy today building the drawer. Again, I'm not going to win any awards for carpentry here, but it does work. And obviously I've burnt it all because I love burning stuff. At the moment, you can see that it can turn and twist and stuff. So what I need to do is get it so that it's guided in, so that it always lands in the same place. So usually you'd have like drawer rails, but I didn't want to buy any of them, and I've had a bit of an idea. So this is under the drawer, and these are the two rails that support it. You can see there. So I've got an idea of putting a piece of wood like that that's connected to the drawer that slides with the drawer. Now, if I use a bit of wood down this edge, connecting this piece in the drawer, and make it flush with this, you know, something like that, then it'll guide it. And then the second thing is this piece being here means as the drawer pulls out, it's got something to stop it from just rocking forwards. So that's the idea, but of course when I screw this in, the drawer is fixed. I won't be able to get it back out. So the first thing is going to be putting a fascia on this. So I need to cut a load of this wood and trim it in and make it look pretty. So that's the next task. Get this all finished up with the green wood, and then I'm going to try and do that weird guide rail system thing that might work. And if it does, it'll mean that is an extremely cheap way of doing a drawer. But get the front on first so that I can secure it once it's ready. Just got to try and get it in straight, but it should fit snug. There's a little bit of overhang here because this wood is way thicker than I would like it to be. It's thicker than this basically, but I think I'll just burn that so it doesn't stand out quite as much as that. It looks rustic, but you know, that is the theme, or will be the theme of this van. Okay, so this is my idea. This dodgy looking thing goes under here like that, and it'll be attached to the drawer, and then it'll slide. Like I say, it'll stop the drawer from lifting upwards because of this bit, and it should guide it because of those two bits. So yeah, I'm gonna pull the drawer out and then screw in from the top down into these blocks and see if it works. So I'm a bit of an idiot. How the hell am I going to screw that in? It's all the way inside the drawer. So I'm going to do it the other way around. Now that this is all positioned and stuff, I'm going to take the blocks off, screw them on, put the drawer in, and then put this piece on last instead, which makes far more sense. Well, it works. It wobbles a bit. So what I might do is exactly what I've done here, but a bit further back. So it's got two braces to hold it. So it lifts out and it doesn't rock forward because I've put a second one of those little slider brackets underneath. So it stops when it's halfway out, which is perfect because when I'm stood, you obviously don't want it coming and pushing me over onto the bench. So that works well. You can get in no problem at all to everyone at the back. And then underneath, I did one of them on the inside and one of them on the outside so that it was pinched on both sides of this piece of wood. I figured it would give it less kind of wiggle left and right. It just needs a handle and then probably one of those little like twisty latches. Something to keep it in place when we're driving. Maybe something here. I don't know. Figure that one out. But today I'm going to try and put a couple shelves in there and then build some cupboard doors. Shut up! What are you making a racket for? Funny buggers. Anyway, I don't know if I'm going to get 2 shelves or 3 shelves then. I think if you did 3 shelves, one of them would be so low down that to get to it you'd basically have to get like right onto the ground, and to reach the back of it wouldn't be easy at all. Stop it! What's your problem? I think the sensible thing to do is going to be to box this off first, because obviously the wood at the moment from the wood store will just slide straight through. So I'm going to need a piece of plywood up here. It probably makes sense to bring plywood all the way up, because if I've got a shelf with tin cans and stuff, I don't want them rolling and smashing into the tile. Then I'm going to do the same here as well. Build plywood up to separate where the water containers are and where the food's going to be. So first step, yeah, plywood. decided just to do two partitioned areas because you kind of stood up when you're reaching in. Like if they were really shallow, it'd be so annoying having to get right down and reach in. Because it's so deep, I think it's definitely better just having the two of them. So I've built these little things which are going to support the plywood. I'll put a piece same thickness along the back, maybe one in the middle and one at the front as well. So that's all nice and strong, and then lay the plywood on top and then fit cupboard doors to the front. And that'll be two massive storage spaces. I've also got an assortment of different baskets and stuff, so I'll find a good arrangement, probably for keeping vegetables and stuff in the bottom, because you'll be able to stack it high. And likewise with this one, you know, you might be able to have them that you can pull them out and then sit them up and then take your veg out and pop them back in or whatever. So I'm just going to secure this one in because it's still just kind of sitting there at the moment. Put a couple cross supports on and then cut a piece of ply that's going to fit on there. I still need to ply up this side bit here. For anyone who's just joined on this video and hasn't seen the rest, you'll see how higgledy-piggledy my woodwork is. This is because I'm working from scrap wood. At the moment, I've spent about 60 quid on wood, and that wood that I've bought I haven't even used yet. So all of this is just reclaimed wood. So that's why it looks a bit mental, because the bits don't reach, and I just think, well, who cares? Because at the end of the day, if it's going to hold it and it's going to work, and once all this is sealed off and it looks pretty with, you know, nice wood on the front and stuff, none of it's going to matter. As long as it's strong, I don't really care. Anyway, I'm going to try and cut a piece of ply, screw it to the back of this, screw it to the top and screw this in place, and then that should be that ready to put the cross supports, put the piece of plywood on and build the doors. Okay, so I've just measured in here, and the plywood needs to be 57 centimeters across. This gap here is no bigger than 52. So I hardly think I'm going to get a 5 centimeter bend on the wood in order to get it in that space. So I'm going to have to do it in two pieces. So yeah, I'm going to put another one of these in right next to it, and then cut two strips of ply that long, because then I can put them in like that, turn them, twist them, bend them, all the rest. There we go. Really good and strong. All screwed in. So now it's just time for cupboard doors. So I'm going to cut a piece of ply the size of this hole, and then I'm going to cover it with this wood, which is the other type of wood that the shed was made out of, and then sort of just distress it. That's actually sap. So yeah, basically I need to cut the tongues off of a bunch of this, cut it to that height, and then attach it to the plywood, cut it in half so I've got two doors, sand it all down, and then bang some hinges on. And then a latch, which I don't know if I have, but I'll maybe make a latch, or I'll maybe buy one at a later date. Right, now just to put that wood on the front, I've taken the edge off of it all. Used to have a tongue on that side. I've taken all that off using the router. Now I just need to sand the bugger out of these because they're minging. Then I'll no more nails them to the front of that piece of wood. Right, that's them all sanded back, and then lay on top of that piece of plywood. They're all different sizes, so they're all hanging over. But of course all I'll do is flip it over, and with the jigsaw I'll just run along, taking all the ends off, and then sand it all down. So I was going to clamp them, but I realised I haven't got 4 clamps. So instead I've put 2 bits of wood across, and then put 2 massive water containers on. There's no gaps, so I've made sure everything's still nice and snug. I need to leave the no more nails for 24 to 48 hours. So I suppose I better just leave it sit. So there they are. Obviously this piece of wood is set to the exact space, so I just need to follow this around with a jigsaw, cutting all this excess off. The other thing I'll do, once I've cut it to the shape, I'll flip it over and I'll tack little nails. They obviously need to be really short so they don't come through here, but I think I've got the perfect little tack nails that I'll do as well, just as a backup with the no more nails. Nice of a bird to crap on it while it dried. Then I need to take the jigsaw and cut straight down this line. So we're working away, getting these pins in, just to kind of secure the back piece of ply to the front. So in the sanding and the hammering and all the rest, there's a bit of a gap being created from all the vibration. So all I'm going to do is take some really small screws and just put some screws through the back of this wood to kind of pull it all together again. It's a really kind of dreary grey day, so working with the old light again. But 2 cupboard doors. I've put a piece of wood at the bottom. It's like 2mm thick maybe. That's so that there's a bit of clearance as they swing open. So yeah, let's see. Okay, that's a bit fiddly, but they should both fit. Oh yes, I like it. Looks really good. So next step is a couple of these hinges on each door. Right, so it's getting really dark, so sorry it's like all grainy. I'll give you a good look at this tomorrow, but it bloody works and it looks pretty tidy. Obviously there's no handles on yet, so I have to there's no handles on anything, but if I pull that out then they both open fine. There's a little bit of a skiff if you can hear it, so I'll hand sand that, but yeah, that cupboard door opens absolutely fine, and then that one same as well, tiny little skiff. And then when you close them, down here, there's a little bit of a skiff. So just going to open them up and hand sand them until they meet perfectly. But they look pretty awesome. But yeah, I'll give you a good look tomorrow. That's not bad. It's looking like a kitchen. See you guys tomorrow. So it's daylight and it's a beautiful day. And here's how those cupboard doors are looking. I just quickly I've got this like sanding wheel for the drill. It's actually really useful. But yeah, I've taken that across the top so that it no longer catches at all on the drawer, nor does that one. And then they don't catch on each other either. The next part, so that's one of the water containers, but there's going to be 2. There's going to be a shelf above it, so I think I'm going to use something like this on each side. It's also going to come across here at the same height as that. And then we're going to use that wood to flush off that bit there. Good morning guys, so I've had a bunch of stuff arrive, which is great. It means I can make some progress with the electronics up at the kitchen side, you know, like the pump and all that kind of stuff. But as always, you need to figure out the order of doing stuff in order to put the tap and water pump and all that stuff in there. But before I do that, I need to figure out this wall, because I'll be building everything in front of this. So the wall is what I'm going to do next. So initially I had the idea of cutting these and like layering them and sanding them down and all the rest, but I don't like the overlap. So instead what I've decided to do, I'm going to paint this black and then have them staggered with like a black gap in between each one. So it'll kind of look like, I suppose, like a fence. But the way I see it in my head, it looks quite cool, so that's what I'm going to do. There's no harm in painting that black and then finding out I want to change my mind. It's not really going to matter. So the black and wood stripes is going to come to here, and then there's going to be a wall hang on that section. So I need to paint past here, but not much past. There's no point in painting this whole wall when it's going to be hidden anyway. So I'll probably paint to like here. I'm just going to get a bin bag, tape it along this edge to make sure I'm not going to drip any black paint on here. And yeah, just paint that wall. I think that looks pretty cool. Of course, it's not really going to look like that because I'm going to have a corner unit, cabinets across the top, and then a strip of wood across the bottom. You know, it's not going to be as prominent because there's going to be other stuff around it. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to screw these in. Then I've got a dark polyfiller, so I'm going to fill a load of these holes and down these 2 gaps here, well, 3 gaps, and let that set, because soon I'm going to want to lacquer this. I've got like a clear matte lacquer they'll need to go on to make it watertight so that any spillages and stuff don't soak into the wood and then start to rot. Okay, so the polyfiller I got was marked as dark brown. It's almost like maroon, which obviously doesn't match the counter like I intended it to. But I'm going to use it anyway, because these holes are so deep. I'm going to use it to plug the holes, and then I'll probably buy a darker one, like an even darker one, probably just black. And then I'll just cover the top to hide this kind of maroon stuff. So still going to use it because I've got quite big holes to fill. Might as well make use of it. And then I'll buy some dark stuff to hide that. So with polyfill you usually leave it a little bit raised and then sand off the excess, whereas I'm letting it dip in because I want to lay a darker colour over that. But I've managed to plug everything, and a lot of holes in that wood. So there we have it, the kitchen's taken shape, and honestly I think it looks excellent, especially considering it's all reclaimed wood so far. Tune in next week, I'm going to start installing the electrics, which is a bit of a scary topic for a lot of people, but I assure you it's not as hard as it seems. I'll see you next week for the next part of the van build. Thank you so much for watching, guys. If you have any questions, drop them in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them. See you later.